Why do you want to be in theatre? What is it about theatre that you want to do?
I think want's a really funny word. I don't necessarily think I want to do it. I think it's more of a compulsion. I always find that I want to create things. That's the thing I want to do, is creation. I think that theatre's got something really magical about it that enables you to create things on the spot with the people that are there. And that's a really special medium. And I guess one of the other questions that comes with why do you want to do theatre is like, why would you want to act? And that's another thing that I don't particularly want to do but feel very compelled to do, because who wants to relive something horrific every night of your life? But I feel very, I keep using the word compelled, finding myself wanting to do that as sort of a necessity for my own well-being, which sounds rather contradictory. I think there's a lot of narratives that need to be told, my own and other people's, and I think that for me I want to be a part of that, and that's where performing comes into it. But performing is only one element. Theatre and other sort of creative outputs, whether it be film or TV or things that you put on the internet, are all really important to me because I want to be able to create them, write them, mould them as well as performing them, because I think there's a big gap of things that are being created that aren't being. There's things that I think should be put out there and aren't. So I've got very, very mixed feelings about theatre in Britain. All types of theatre. I see a colossal load of shite. And I also see amazing things. And you can see, I've seen shows in which I've hated it, and then there's been 5 minutes that have been the most moving 5 minutes that I've ever lived through, and it's obviously completely worth it because you've experienced that. I think it's difficult because I'm from a really interesting background. I didn't go to I started going to the theatre because I had a school teacher who decided it was something that he wanted to do and took groups, so it was cheap, and that was why I started going to the theatre. It wasn't because I lived in London, it wasn't because it was available freely, it was because somebody told me I should be, and I loved it. And he made it so it was freely available. Theatre is very inaccessible. You either have to live somewhere where there is theatre and there are schemes to be able to go, and there's like £5 tickets, but you still have to be in London for that, and I think that's a real shame. No, I don't think so. There's no theatre, there's no formula for me that I read and like, that show I'm gonna love. I like comedy, but I also have seen lots of bad comedy. I've done comedy myself, I know how hard it is, and I don't think there's a formula for, theatre, whether it's comedic or dramatic, that means I'm going to like it. In general, the theatre that I loved has been theatre that has been created by the performers, often devised or constructed by one or two members of the acting troupe. I've seen some fabulous pieces of theatre done like that. But I think because my parents have always been involved in creative things, from doing clothes range, actually this is one of theirs from 20 years ago almost, maybe a bit less than that, and doing an album and then writing books and making films, and I think that for me, I'm probably of a similar school. I want to do lots of different things. I do see myself doing theatre, but I don't know. I change too much to be able to pin myself down. I've always loved performing. When I was 2 or 3, I remember watching people out of our window in our apartment and singing to myself about the people walking by. So I've always been a performer to some degree, but that was very much myself. And then I wanted to be a ballerina because that's what 4-year-old girls want. And then I just remember being like, I'm going to be an actor. I don't really know where that came from or how. I remember going to the theatre to see Singing in the Rain and absolutely loving it. And loving musicals and loving singing and dancing and sort of performing for myself, but it wasn't necessarily anything that, it never seemed like a solid reality, it all seemed very abstract. And then I went to university and I was involved with lots of drama there, even though when I went to university I didn't think I would ever do that. I sort of ended up being like, oh well, why not? I might as well go for these plays, they sound great. And then I did comedy and I just was like, I saw lots of other things, and I think that's what really triggered it for me. I think that's probably when I had a first conscious thing of being like, this is actually solidly what I want to do rather than like a sort of abstract ambition. It was probably really recently, in the last 4 years, and that was seeing theatre and being like, there is a big gaping hole. And I want to do things and I have things to say, and this is a medium in which I will be able to say those things. I think the most fantastic thing about the Forge Initiative is that it's incredibly practical. So much of the basis of the education are practical skills on how to write and perform, and things that I've never really had the opportunity to learn before. All my education prior to this has been very, very academic, and this will be incredibly practical. And I think that's really what I need, and I think that it will provide me with the confidence to create my own work without having to rely on other people, which I think is really important, because that's what the sort of work I want to be creating. It is self-made, without necessarily having to wait for a production company or wait for a big theatre or hoping that someone might pick me up, which isn't really my style. This course is going to be incredibly intensive. It's going to, work me really hard, and I think that's what I'm looking for, and also what I need to do to be the best performer I possibly can. So I study classics, which is the study of ancient Greek and Roman history, literature, language. I did ancient Greek and Latin from scratch in that time. It's very similar to acting. I didn't really know why I wanted to do it. I just really, really loved it. I sort of understand it a lot more now, having studied it. It's learning about people from thousands of years ago, and about the enduring nature of humanity, and about how the same stories always repeat. And the thing that I really love about classics, and my specialism in the end ended up being modern authors and classics, and why it's relevant. That and theatre. So obviously it's very relevant to what I want to do with the rest of my life. But very different, because it's academic writing, 2 essays a week, and quite hard for a dyslexic.